Today I am working out 3 amazing Gladiolus prints that I printed 2 videos ago. Watch me how I do it. Hello Jelly fans! This Gladiolus from my garden I printed along with the prints from DIY stencils that I made 2 weeks ago. I'll show you now, briefly and sped up, how I printed them again, and afterwards you can see me working them out. If you want to see the full printing video, here is the link. This is a paint mixture of transparent red iron oxide and carbon black of the Golden Open series. I can't print the whole flower because the stem is too thick, so I'm pressing the blooms in the paint, picking up the excess paint with a deli paper. The Gladiolus makes an absurdly beautiful impression on the gel plate. Therefore, I am making 2 more prints. This one in red, with a little black left on the gel plate and the flowers. I'm employing some leaves of the same plant as stems. I'm using the deli paper for the excess paint again. You already can see here the amazing texture the deli paper creates. As the Golden Open paints stay wet quite a long time, I can print the positive of a blossom that still has the black paint on it, as an extra addition to the design, quite different from the gel print. For a third variation, I'm printing the same flower with just black, again using the leaves as stems. Strangely, the deli paper picks up less color in the left third of the print. One of the happy accidents you often have with a gel plate. I swear that thing has a life and opinion of its own. So now I can start the workout. And I'm starting with a Micron Fineliner because I think this print needs a little more strong contrasts. So I'm doing the usual, the outlines with a Fineliner, and also using those little dots you see everywhere and giving them shadows. And here you can see how amazing that Gladiolus blossom is. It's just unlike everything else, every other flower I've ever printed. What was quite wonderful was the fuchsia flower. I made some videos about that one too. And this Gladiolus is new in my garden and I'm so amazed what it can do. I think it looks like an orchid. Orchid? Zooming in here so you can see the amazing texture better. And as I'm working on the stems, I somehow have to decide where the stem ends and where the halo begins that the deli paper gave me. So I'm just deciding this is the stem and the rest is something else, just an echo of the plant. And I want to stress again that you can only get these textures from the deli paper if you use paint that is still wet on the gel plate, meaning using a Golden Open paint or some other maybe fluid acrylic. Well, that might lead to other effects. Or you can also do this with the etching inks. That's also wonderful. See this? How the petal is going over this wrinkle that the deli paper gave me. I'm so amazed every time. Everything is always new. So here I'm giving all those blobs and freckles and whatever is alive in there some shadows. But I don't want to overdo it, and I'm not doing it with a Fineliner because I want the center of attention to be the flowers. And enhancing those echoes. They have a structure of their own. And I'm not doing much more to this one. I could do a lot of things here. I could do a horizon. I already attached a horizon line, but I'm not using it to fill in anything in the background. You can do that, and that would also be an interesting contrast. But this one I leave as it is, and I sign it. And there's a lot more you can do with this. I'm a purist and more on the monochrome side, so I like it like this. But I went to Procreate and did a few mock-ups of how you can put some layers with maybe watercolor or so, and that would be very beautiful. Now this one, I call it the brown one. There is a highlight back there that I don't like much. I could make a flower out of it, but you guessed it, I'm making a moon here. And filling in with a white pencil, which is a little transparent, so I can use what's underneath as a structure for the face of the moon. And note here that I'm putting some white on the outside of those petals, so that it looks like the moon is glowing from behind. And then you can make this to look out of focus and lit from behind. These shadows I'm creating with a black pencil. I'm only using outside that moon shape. Again here, quite hard to decide where the petal ends and where the halo begins, or if it's all one shape. But I think no matter what you do in this case, the outcome is beautiful. The white you see here, that's part of the interesting thing with the gel plate, because in this case where the white parts are, the flower didn't pick up any paint. No, sorry, picked up a lot of paint in the white parts. And I think that makes it even more interesting, although that is a mistake and an accident too. These empty white parts create a lot of contrast, which makes the viewer look at the flower immediately. But I want to knock back that strong effect just a little bit. So I'm creating some texture that is flower-like. I'm just basically, you know, making circles and movements that you see that the petals make. But don't overdo it. The good thing about the pencil is, of course, you can always erase it, although I hardly ever do. And while I'm working out this flower that lay on the side, I'm still more amazed than by the full bloom. This texture is so delicate. And while I'm working this out, I'm really thinking about you couldn't draw this or paint this. It's what nature prints on the gel plate. That's what makes it so special. Well, actually, I know one person that can draw like this. That is the amazing Marco Mazzoni from Milan. You might know him. He's just my favorite drawing artist. And I'm thinking, while I'm doing this, I'm really thinking, I want to enlarge this. I want to have this on a large paper, maybe projected with an overhead projector, and then draw it in a big size. What do you think of that? It will never be as authentic as the print, but I can try. And now for the flower, which is pretty much the same as in the previous print, but at the same time, it's not the same at all. I'm darkening that funnel where the light goes in a little bit, and you can see how much spatial, 3D effect I get here. You can create a real depth with this. Now, some people say the pure print shouldn't be worked out. That is not real art. But I'm saying, well, what the hell? This is what I do. I just love to add shadows. Everybody can do what they want, can't they? And here I'm starting to add shadows, highlights to those shapes the deli paper gave me. It's a little bit like in the last print, but so different at the same time. These are little small shapes that need white highlights. I would recommend also trying to erase the whole background by just painting it opaque, making an opaque sky. That also looks wonderful. It's just an idea, and sometimes I do that. But with these prints, somehow I want to work with the background. And I do love this one. And the next one is going to end a little bit different again. In this one as well, I think those spaces where the leaves, the petals picked up too much paint, the white spots are especially beautiful. So I'm not doing much to them. And here I am again working on the stems, giving everything a shadow. And yeah, and these ones are different because I printed them directly from the flower. And that is amazing too. It mixed with the background. See that? So I'm just enhancing this one a little bit. And I always say, the more you work with those nature prints, the more you learn about the anatomy of the plants. Same with animals. And when you've printed a lot of flowers, you might notice it's easier to draw them just by imagination. So that is always a good practice. Like, how does this petal move? How does it fold? How does it move against the sun? Where are the shadows going? And where are the veins of the leaves and things like that? And I'm strengthening the outline of the shadow sides a little bit. And there's a little critter visiting. Hello. It feels at home in this nature drawing. And I'm thinking again about enlarging this, drawing this on a much larger scale. I could also, blow up copies and then transfer it to a canvas or a large paper. The more I'm working on this one, the more I'm convinced I want to do that. Oh, you just have to travel to New Zealand or Australia and get the large flowers like the Rafflesia or the fern trees and print them directly. We have a botanical garden here in Berlin where I used to go to often as a child after school and paint the flowers there, paint the ponds and so on. And they also have a tropical house with large flowers, Rafflesia and everything. but I think they would mind me borrowing those blossoms to print them. And now I've decided to make a horizon line and paint some earth. And I'm using the transparent brown iron oxide over the transparent red iron oxide because they go together very well. I print them together often. So I'm drawing a little horizon line here, correcting it. And this is actually a negative print or an excess paint print from my homemade stencils that I feature in the last but one video. I'm using a brush size 2, and I've wet the brush a little bit before I dipped it into the paint. And the paint has a consistency and a wetness that allows me to spread it over the paper and until you don't see this, the brush strokes anymore. It's a little bit like working with gel actually. Another thing I love about the golden open paint. So I'm just adding a few, I'm adding a first layer to all the 3 parts, and I'm thinking, this is not earth. I think I want this to be water. And I'm leaving out those shapes in the first layer because I still want them to show. They're underwater plants, I decided. And normally I don't correct the flower prints so much, but this one is like it has a hole, so I'm painting on that one as well. And I've taped off the sides, as you can see, because I want to give it the water effect now. I should have done this before the first layer, actually. So I'm using, this is I think a mixture of black and transparent brown. And I'm trying to spread it evenly, and it should stay just a little bit wet, but with no puddles. Because now I'm turning it up and I'm just adding water and let it flow with the brush at a few places. And I also have to support it flowing down with more water and the brush. This effect I've used often, and as the first layer was already a little too dark, it doesn't turn out as well as I would like it to be. But it's okay. Just be sure to go on it with the tissue when the other paint has dried and only those floatings of new water are still wet. I'm taking off the masking tape there very slowly, but you can see some paint has flown under it. That's a bummer. Anyway, so I'm showing you the alternative that you can do with a pencil. And it turns out that I like it much better than what I just did. I'm just drawing a thin layer of black and then going in with an eraser and making the same lines floating down. And also going horizontally for some ripples of water. If you combine those lines, you can be sure it always looks like water. And I want to strengthen that effect just a little bit. So I'm also adding some white pencil. Well, actually, I could have done this from the start, but I wanted to show you some different techniques. The only bummer is it's a little too dark on the right side compared to the middle section. So I'm darkening this one a little bit. And I'm also making the top of the water a little darker. Then I'm going into that empty space that was inside the flower, and I'm again marking the flower patterns. And this one needs a little more shadows. Is the flower in front of the water or in the water? I don't know. So I'm signing this one and call it a finished painting. I'm very, very happy with this one, as with the other two as well. And I had loads of fun with the Gladiolus, and I can't wait for next year when they grow again. Which one do you like the best? I like them all. And coming up, hopefully, is my long-promised rust session. I made these paintings that are 1 meter by 1 meter, pretty large, with rust and some extra nice techniques. So I promised you I make this. I'm not sure whether I can make it in a week. I might need the next 2 weeks for it. But I'm excited about that, and I hope you join me again. So till then, bye.